Hello, Googlers.
Yes.
Hello.
Welcome everyone. Let me pimp the book. No, I'm excited to be here. This is not the first book that I've read that Carmine has written, and I've watched his videos on YouTube and his interviews. And I've taken a lot away from his advice.
Mastering the ancient art of persuasion is no longer a soft skill. It is the fundamental skill that will get you from good to great in the age of ideas. And we call it the age of ideas because that's where your value is locked up. Ideas are the currency of the 21st century. No longer is your value locked up in your hands, in the ag age, or in your labor, your hard labor, or in the industrial age, in the factories. It's up here. But if you can have a great idea, completely new, novel, different, exciting, but if you cannot convince enough other people about your idea in a way that's clear and understandable and compelling, it doesn't matter very much. I told you I'm a big history buff. There is a best-selling book this year. New York Times called it one of the best books of the year. It's called Leadership by Doris Kearns Goodwin. If you read this book, I forgot how many posted stickers I had almost on every page that had to do with communication. The most transformative leaders of our time were great communicators, and they worked at it. Take a look at this quote. Lincoln drew crowds from the countryside eager to be regaled and entertained by a master storyteller. He understood early on that concrete examples and stories provided the best vehicles for teaching. But he worked at, we would not have had the Emancipation Proclamation at that time if he had not built himself into a magnificent communicator. Good communication is hard. Being an effective communicator takes creativity. You have to think through these things. You have to think through the narrative that you want to tell. How am I going to tell it? What are the words I'm going to use? Avinash and I have talked about different audiences, right? So there's an audience that's more tactical versus an audience that's more higher level, that might be more strategic. The data I use and the way I present that data has to be different based on the audience that I'm facing. So some of this is hard work. That's why you see so many bad PowerPoints or slides. So any slide, whether it's Google Slides or PowerPoints or Apple Keynote, I've seen great ones, I've seen really bad ones. And the bad ones are kind of lazy because we just put a bunch of information. There's no hierarchical structure like John Medina talked about. There's no story, there's no narrative, there's no theme, there's no log line. It's just information. I don't write for average people. I don't write for people who want to just get along. I write for those people who want to take themselves apart and stand out as communicators and as leaders. It does take a little extra work.
It does, yeah.
Can I riff off your rule of three,
Sure.
by the way? Okay, so that's another perfect example of how technology has changed, the way we communicate has changed, but the human mind has not. The human mind has a capacity for about 3 ideas in short-term or working memory. This goes back to a man named Aristotle, who said that stories should be broken up into 3 parts, a beginning, middle, and an end. And they should be as brief as possible to get your point across. So even 2,000 years ago, he was talking about breaking things up into 3 ways that we never had before.
Fabulous. All right, the book is 5 stars. Carmine.
5 stars. Thank you, Avinash. And thank you.